And
hey everybody, it's Karen Barbie, the baby boomer belly dancer, and I'm back for another podcast episode, although I'm going to admit we're recording this 3 days late. Why? Because we're in Texas. And we just went through some crazy shit here in Texas for a solid week. Perhaps you heard. So joining me today are Margret and Lisa, and I'm going to ask you guys to talk a little bit about how long you've been in belly dancing, because I realized that I need to do that. It helps people to kind of understand our context here. We are actually today going to be talking about this last week and how we all survived it, somewhat within the context of improvisation, and then we'll just see how we can tie belly dance back into it. And I bet we can. I bet we can. All right. So first, let's hear who you are. Lisa, I know you were here before, but that was before I realized that I should let people introduce themselves and talk about how long they've been belly dancing.
Okay. Well, I've been belly dancing off and on since 1991, which
30 years.
Yeah, but a lot of that was off. But more recently, have kind of made it a priority to be back on and really enjoying it.
Great. Margret?
I've been belly dancing off and on, and hopefully finally started in 2008 up in Washington, D.C. area, and kept continuing it off and on until now. So,
And you've been on now for a couple of years.
A couple of years.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So where were you last week when you realized that life was going to get crazy? Let me just tell you real quick where I was. I was in the parking lot of HEB and I couldn't find my car. So I had tried to go to HEB on Saturday. I can't remember what my schedule was, but I got there at a time when apparently the whole city of San Antonio had realized that things were going to get weird. And so it was already 30 degrees, which is, I know people listen to this from everywhere. That's cold for us, okay? We don't do 30 degrees. 30 degrees means go inside, just stay there until it's over 45. So it's 30 degrees. I go to HEB, I have my long list, and I see people lined up outside of HEB waiting to get in because they're still controlling all the numbers for COVID, right? And I was like, screw this. I'm not waiting in line in 30 degrees because I'm a native. I'm not going to do it. I'll go tomorrow, I said to myself. Surely, I thought, it will be better tomorrow.
you said Shirley?
I did say surely.
Or Shirley? Shirley?
I said surely.
Okay.
So Sunday, it was like, I don't know, noon when I realized it wasn't going to get any warmer. And I went to HEB and I was talking on the phone, I think to my sister or something. And I didn't pay attention to where I parked, and it was so crowded that I couldn't park in that same place that I always park in. Hey, and if you're listening from someplace other than Texas, HEB is our grocery store. So I parked in that non-standard place. I should have been focused on it, but I wasn't because I was on the damn phone. And I go in, I get all my stuff, and I come out. Now it feels like it's 4 degrees. It's still probably, I think the temperature was dropping on Sunday. And I swear I walked around the parking lot for 30 minutes. People were coming up to me saying, "Can I help you, ma'am? Are you lost? You can't find," I have this grocery cart full of groceries and I can't find my car. And it's just so cold. I'm punching everything on my little key thing to try to get my alarm to go off or whatever. I have my gloves on, so it's not working. I take my gloves off. My hands are so cold. I still can't get the thing to operate. It was horrible. I finally called Tommy, my husband. I was like, "Please help me. You have to come over here and pick me up, drive me around the parking lot." And he said, "Okay, I'm on my way." And then I found my car. So that was my first tragedy of a week of craziness. That was the night, I think, that the power went off in our house at about 3:00 in the morning. And I just thought, power went off. I went online and did the little outage thing to CPS, and it was off for like 6 hours. And then I knew we were in for a good run. So when did it occur to you guys that we were going to have an interesting time ahead?
When my husband said on Thursday before, which I believe was the 11th of February, and he goes, "Dear, it looks like cold weather's coming in and they're predicting snow." And since he and I have lived up in Washington, D.C. area, it's basically, we just went into Washington, D.C. mode and said, "Okay, well, let's just go ahead and let's go to Costco. Let's go to HEB. Let's get our stuff. Let's get
you
water."
could tell your friends that, okay? Those of us that are...
Well,
just kidding.
I'm sorry. But because, the weather will do one thing. They'll say, "Oh, it's going to snow, it's going to snow." And then you get like one flake. Because he and I are thinking, "Oh, this must be, this is Texas. It doesn't snow like this." Wrong.
Yeah.
It's so wrong. And then, of course, Valentine's Day, we had a nice little dinner in the house, and snow was.
That was Sunday. Valentine's Day
Yeah.
was Sunday. Yeah.
And about 11:30, the neighborhood kids start knocking on my door to have my younger son go outside and play in the snow around midnight. And I'm like, "I'm sorry, no, let it fall."
Oh, Mom, did you let him go out and play?
No, not at midnight.
That's everybody. I was out at midnight playing
Well, that's an adult, but not a kid.
and drinking a beer and taking pictures in the middle of the roadway in
That-
360 degrees and writing 2021 in the parking lot.
I understand, but my husband, he has to get up and he still has to work remotely from home at 6 a.m. So we don't want to.
Wah, wah,
Hey,
wah.
I don't want a car to be
So I
sliding
guess
into my
Valentine's Day. Is that when it hit you, Lisa? Sunday?
Well, we had tried to go to a comedy show we had tickets to at 4:00. So we tried to leave around, I don't know, probably 2:30, 3, and we realized we couldn't get anywhere. And I was, Miss Gung Ho. I'm originally from New York. My husband's from Chicago. I was like, "What do you mean we're not going?" I said, "The highways are closed, you pansy. All right, but we can use the rest of the non-raised highways to get there." And he said, "No, this is really ugly. I don't think it's a good idea." It turns out the show was canceled anyway. But when it really, really hit home was our power went into this odd cycle of being on for less than 5 minutes, about once every 1 to 3 hours, all day on Monday, and then it just shut off for good. And so on Tuesday, we live in a condo. It's an old lumber manufacturing facility, was what it was before it was renovated. So it has very thick concrete walls, which is fairly good for insulation. So our place was 52 degrees, which I feel lucky having talked with some of our neighbors, not neighbors, I'm sorry, friends who were in single family homes who were registering 38 degrees inside their homes. And I thought, "Oh, well, you know what? Screw this. Let's just go stay in a hotel." Yeah, you and the rest of the, 22,000 San Antonians who had the same idea, and everything was completely booked. And we had, there was just, we're now going, "Okay, great. We have 2 fridges and freezers worth of stuff that are going to be trash. Let's start loading stuff up into coolers and put it outside like we used to do back where we grew up and stuff." That's when it got real. And we're like, "Okay, we're in this for real. We can't escape and go pamper ourselves in a hotel. We're riding this thing out."
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
It was crazy.
It was
It was
crazy.
crazy.
And I know that I can't remember. And I was thinking about it this morning, how my delimiters for time are sunrise and sunset. And yet all last week it was, when's the power on, when's the power off? And so I just lost all sense of time because everything was around, when's that power going to come on? There was a funny TikTok, well, probably several people were making fun of Texans for that split second when the power came on and you were trying to do everything, but that's exactly how it was. And I think that, I don't remember what day it was. That was what I was trying to say, because there was a day where I was getting 5 minutes out of every 20, and I was measuring it. I was trying to figure out the pattern so that I could plan, because I'm a planner, and this was making me insane. So just if I could just know when my 5 minutes was coming up, I could be ready to warm the little pad for the cat's
Charge
bed.
your phone
You
for
know,
5
yes,
minutes.
charge the phone.
This
Yes.
is so
Yeah.
funny because you all think she's joking, right?
No.
But there was a picture. I think you were writing on styrofoam, I guess. That's what
No,
looked
it was
like.
the dry erase
on
board on the
Facebook.
refrigerator.
On
Okay.
Facebook.
Or styrofoam.
But she was really
Yeah.
trying to figure out like when the power outages were coming in and out. And it was, it's funny because what was that? Sunday night at midnight or so, it's snowing. Like it's snowing. And I go outside and I start taking pictures, and I'm like a kid. I call myself a snow zombie because I'm like, what do I do? And I'm just walking around. My buddy looks at me from my apartment complex, and he comes down and brings a beer. So we're drinking beers out because we got to commemorate the moment. But it was like, what time was it? What time of the day was it? And everything else. And that would have been, so that was Sunday. So it would have been Monday. and people are still playing outside till about noon. And I think it slowly hit that, okay, power's not coming back
Right,
on.
right. You're
This
not
is-
going to warm up.
You're not going to warm up. The snow is still on the ground from the night before. Because normally in San Antonio, Texas,
It melts pretty
it had
fast.
melted.
Yeah, yeah.
But then it's still there. And then Tuesday, it's kind of like, okay, what's going on? Two interesting fun facts. Whataburger downtown had a line that was over 2 hours long to get food. Thai Lucky, which is another place downtown, they opened up. Oh, we're just going to open up for a few minutes. They were slammed. And the hotels, a bunch of hotels downtown in the downtown area, matter of fact, one across the street from me, their power was off. So a woman came in from North San Antonio to downtown because they didn't have shower or water or anything else or and electricity and got stuck in the exact same thing.
See, that's crazy.
This is
I
just not one of
never
those things.
had any water problem. Well, I mean, our pressure dropped some, but I never lost
Sure.
water. Did you guys lose water?
I lost water, and it was Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, but we had power. But my internet and even my cell phone wasn't getting anything. I was barely getting any emails. It was like intermittent on there, and my cell phone. Someone would text me, and I wouldn't get any texts or notifications on my phone until about 9 p.m. And then my phone just blew up.
Yeah, I was lagging way behind and all that kind of stuff too. I was so mad. Every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. there's a meeting for the National Arab Orchestra. I love all those meetings, but of course I couldn't participate. And then quarterly we have a board meeting for the National Arab Orchestra, and it just so happened that was supposed to be last Wednesday. But now there are 3 board members in Texas, so they had to reschedule it to next week because I was just crazy. The entire state was just
Frozen.
frozen. And well, not the entire state. Pockets of the state, like as Guylan is saying, you never lost power, did you, Guylan?
Actually, it was so funny because I was calling people, I didn't lose power. Everything's great. I'm getting ready to invite people over if you need to shower, blah, blah, blah. I got off the phone at about 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Power went off, and it was off to, I think, 8 or 9 that night, and then it came back on. And then when I woke up the next morning, the power was off again. But then after that, so I guess it was Wednesday evening about 8, it came back on, and then it hasn't gone off since. So I got lucky. Now, I also was downtown, and part of where I live is very close to the courthouse. So I'm thinking I'm on that courthouse grid. They're not going to let anything happen. But when everybody was on Facebook, like, why is all these buildings lit up downtown, blah, blah, blah. I think I got caught up in that. They're like, oh, we can carve this little area out here and save a little bit more power. So, yeah.
Well, nothing was going on at the courthouse. Tommy had several trials that he was supposed to have last week, and none of them happened.
Right.
So I don't know why they would have kept that going because there wasn't anything going on there.
Well, they did say that some of the buildings, like the Tower of Life building downtown, Frost building, especially the Tower of Life, if you turn that building off, you turn the electricity off, you turn the power off, then you could unfortunately have a lot more pipe burst.
Right.
And because it's such an old building.
Yeah. A lot of the structures downtown are pretty
exactly.
old, so
Exactly.
it's dangerous in another way.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway,
So we had to improvise.
we had to improvise. That's
Indeed.
right. We did. And aren't we perfectly equipped for that? Because we're in project band. That's a
Yes.
leap.
No, I'm marching over that bridge right there with you, Karen.
I got to read a lot. That was making me insane because I'm so used to reading things online, and there was no reliable power, or once the power came on, not even reliable Wi-Fi, because all my damn devices would reset, and by the time they would reset, the power would be down again. So I never had anything stable. So I was actually pulling out bound paper to read. It was fascinating, but I got to read a lot of my books on improvisation because that's what I enjoy reading. And I'm going to give you this quote. All right. I said it yesterday when we were out there. Listen to this, Lisa. This is great. Ready? And this was us last week. Here we go. The need of the improviser is for a good solution, not the best, for there is probably no single best solution. And even if there were, it would take too long to find it. That's the truth. Yes.
Because improv is in the now.
It is so in the now, and so about accessing what you already got, not trying to accumulate more stuff. Try and just get the damn pizza and pan fry it. That's what I did. The oven's not working, but the
Barbecue
stove
works for
is.
pizza. Learned that.
Well, since I didn't have water, in order to clean my pots, I just went into Boy Scout mode where you just got the rock salt to clean out the cast iron
Oh,
and
okay.
just dump it
See,
outside, and
we
it
need
melted
we
the
all
snow.
need to share what we did
Yeah.
here for fellow Texans in case this ever happens again, because clearly nothing is off the table for what's possible if there's anything we've learned. Yeah, so many people that were either born up north or had lived up north or whatever had so many great little nuggets of wisdom for us natives down here. I swear, this is insane to me.
So my friend who has the hair salon, and she lives in my neighborhood, her pipe burst. She had a pipe burst on Monday, so she didn't have any water throughout. And so I offered, take a shower, and then she was able to take a shower and her kids and everything. And then, of course, my water starts going out with everyone else's, and it was just so we just had to find fun new ways how to conserve water and flush toilets.
All that, all that kind of stuff. Let me tell you who didn't feel a thing is 5 dogs and a cat in my house. Well, I shouldn't say that. They were all getting a little bit bored because I was keeping them indoors to keep them warm. But other than that, they probably are what kept me sane, because I just wanted to keep them comfortable. And so I wasn't so focused on myself. That was probably a really good thing. Not that I advocate having 5 dogs and a cat in a 1,300 square foot home ever, when they don't get along. So I have them all isolated in their own rooms, and the parade of, you can go out now, go potty, hurry up, come on, back into your space, next one. That was insane. And let's just talk about, I went into the studio yesterday and I did the beginner class.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to go in on Friday for the 12:30 drills class. That was going to be the first class that I had since the previous Saturday. So a week almost of no, I don't do that. That doesn't work on my body. So I go in on Friday. I left my house at 5 minutes to 12. The class is at 12:30. It's usually 11 minutes to get to the studio, but there was some accident. Some yahoo went spinning out on some little patch of ice or whatever. So I got to the studio at 12:45. So while I'm stuck in all the traffic, I'm messaging everyone saying, because I knew nobody was going to be there live. Everybody was going to be Zooming or Skyping in, messaging everybody going, it's not going to happen. I don't know what's going on, but I'm obviously backed up here. It's not going to happen. So I didn't have the Friday class. Yesterday, I made myself go in and run the 11 o'clock beginner class. I was like, if nobody's there, I don't care. I'm going to do it, because pretty soon I'm going to need WD-40 to get going again if I don't move some things around. So thankfully I was able to do that. And now, as we were saying earlier, it's 73 degrees outside. So I'm thinking that we're back to normal with all the dancing. But did any of you squiggle around during any of this? Get some exercise, do some dancing?
I squiggled.
You squiggled? Yeah?
I squiggled. Is that a Twyla Tharp reference, by the way?
What?
The squiggle?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll expound upon that
Okay.
later. But no, I did because we were out of so we didn't have regular TV because we were out of power, but I did still have juice on my laptop, and so I was able to use my DVDs and do some practice, which was also very warm because without power. And I unintentionally, looking for something else, stumbled across a really old video of myself dancing. And I thought, well, this is going to be interesting. You know, what was I doing then, and how was it different from today? You know, my body was different because I was a younger person, and, you know, maybe my mindset was different, or maybe I hadn't learned something that I've learned now. And then I started watching anything that I had, which isn't a ton, but old videos of me dancing. And it was fascinating because I think that, I don't know, I guess there's a certain part of it, just like your personality is maybe somewhat hardwired. I think there's a little bit of how we dance that's hardwired. I mean, even look at little toddlers who get out there and move. You know, how do they know to move and do? They're just doing what's inside themselves. And I thought that was interesting because I did see some trends or snippets of things that I thought were a theme. But at the same time, I also noticed some things that I'm doing differently now, or that I, you know, have been focusing on more recently, or that I had forgotten about before. So it was really just an unexpected, interesting exercise that I probably wouldn't have done had I not had Netflix at my fingertips.
There you go. There you go. See, and another
Yeah.
silver lining kind of thing. Right now, I have to tell you that what I'm seeing in my head is that scene in Christmas Vacation
Mhm.
where
Which
Chevy
one?
Chase is
Yeah.
in the attic watching.
Oh,
those.
yeah. And then he falls
freezing.
through the
He's
ceiling.
freezing.
Yeah.
He's like- Same thing. Same kind of thing.
Favorite movie
Yeah,
of all time.
that's always really fun to go back and watch
It is.
some older
is.
videos.
It is in
Mhm.
some ways that you think you've changed so much or that you're so different. And for me, at least, I was like, wow, it's
Right.
not really
Maybe not. Sometimes it's just your frame. The way you frame
Yeah.
it is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Did you do any dancing?
Well, as you know, I still can't do any dancing.
But you
'cause I'm
can
not
play your
clear.
zills.
My zills I
because
did.
Margaret's knee
I
is,
know.
is
And I
injured.
was supposed to have my MRI on February 15th. And of course, the hospital and the doctor's offices were closed unless there was an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
And this wasn't an emergency. So,
Right.
but I am scheduled for this Monday. So better not snow.
No, it won't. I don't
no.
think so.
No,
I don't think it's
we're
gonna
back
happen.
into warm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we're back to warm. We're back to warm.
So we'll find out this week. But normally I was just going with my Zill patterns that and you helped me with and talked about what we were going to do. And that's it. And maybe just some arm movements.
Right.
and
Right.
Some upper chest movements while sitting down. So, yeah. And then I did look at, when I had the chance on my phone at night, I did look at some of my old videos. And then I went on and looked at all the other classes and
Mhm.
went through in my head.
So do you know how
Yeah.
hard it is to rev up the engines for a new semester when the state is frozen?
Yeah.
Like I'm trying, because really, when is March 1st? Tomorrow? It's really soon.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
In
coming
another
up
week.
really, really
Yeah.
soon. And it's so fascinating. I feel like this GBDAC 2021 coming up in October,
Give belly dance a chance.
give Billions a
Yes.
chance, my 25th anniversary. And I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to say it. God damn it, we are going to get to that thing, and it's going to be a quality show in spite of
Everything.
everything. Everything. Yeah. It's comical. It really has to be comical. Like, where's the candid camera on all of this? But these choreographies starting up in March, if you're not in Project Band, that's the last chance to get into this. And we've been promoting this saying it's the last of its kind. And that's all we're saying right now. But it's the truth. You know, there's going to be some major changes coming up on the other side of that. I don't even know exactly what they look like. I just know what they feel like. And I think there's a lot of people, and I'm getting ready to reach out to them personally and say, hey, do you realize that you're not in Project Band? And I know you'd want to be a part of this big thing. These choreographies are starting up in March. This is your last chance to be a part of this. Otherwise, you're not going to take place in this thing. And I'm telling you, it's going to be real different on the other side. But I understand when you don't have power and you finally get it, and then 300 emails download, maybe you missed that one. Or if you're just filthy because you haven't been able to take a shower in 3 days, those kind of things don't matter. So it's just interesting trying to communicate with people and get the point across about something that I guess is as frivolous as dance in times like this. And yet, I don't know, for Lisa, it was something that occurred to you while you were over there freezing.
It could be a point of sanity, really.
Right.
I mean, it's a space from which you can operate from a frame of reference, which was part of your normalcy, right? Because you never know what life's going to throw at you, what curveball, but we can go back to some of those grounding points and work them forward through anything, really, can't we?
Right. Point of sanity. I mean, that's a really big deal. And I think anything last week that would take your focus off of
Freezing your
exactly
ass
what's going on. Yeah. Because there's not anything you can do about it. It's so out of your control. And that's, I guess, what feels so strange to us in San Antonio, in Texas, in the United States of America, for God's sake, is just having everything be so out of control. The second time in a year that's happened to me, you know, when I got shut down
Oh, yeah.
by the city of San Antonio for that one event, I felt really out of control. Like I don't understand. I don't understand. And this is really freaky to me. And last week, not so much from the government, but from Mother Nature, a similar kind of feeling. This is just so outside of anything I ever thought I'd have to deal with. And sometimes it just helps to take your attention completely off of it if you can manage that. Find a little warm spot.
Yeah.
It's easy when you have all these pups around because they're really warm.
Or kind of like you have to do when you're on stage, right, Margaret? I mean, you
Yes.
have to find a warm spot from
You-
which to perform.
Yes, you do. You have to find something that's going to work.
Mhm.
And the other thing is all this stuff that was happening to you being shut down during COVID, and then of course this with Mother Nature blasting at you. You are, and what I am so amazed of with you is you will take it and make something positive out of it and push forward. And you'll just go full force and just say, I'm not giving up. And even with improvisation, you push forward and you just don't give up. You just keep going. And, just leave the negative stuff out the door.
It's funny, I think, thank you,
Mhm.
but I think in other areas of my life, I'd go fetal faster. But where this is concerned, my wish for everyone is that they have that thing that they refuse to go fetal over. Just no, we're going to do this. It's fun. It's fun when you can frame it as a challenge. Okay, fine. This is just a challenge. Let's get past it.
It's
I'm
an
sure other people
obstacle.
are getting past it. So why can't I get past it? You hit on something that eats at my brain constantly, and this is why I read all these things on improvisation. I'm gonna crack that shell someday. But that whole idea of headspace and being able to flip. So all of this is going on around you, and yet it's trying to take all of my focus, and yet I'm going to switch to this and focus on this. And that's where I'm going to exist for a while. And yes, we have to do it on stage. We talk about it all the time. You've memorized all these steps. You've memorized all these concepts about, oh, listen to this, listen to that. Okay, you've been listening to this too long. Okay, now everything's too small. Do something big. That's too big. Do something small. We worked on all that. But if you're running that program in your head, when you get on stage, you're going to hate what you do. You're going to hate what you present. And so you've got to be able to find that way. And it's not even find that way. It's let go of all of that and trust yourself that you'll access the correct things when you need to, based on what you're hearing. That swapping in the brain it's why, Guyland, it's why you've got to find my neuroscientist to have well, and we do it all the time. And we're doing it right now as we speak. We're not going back to the words that we learned in second grade vocabulary. And, we do this all of the time. And just making that happen on stage, because I think we probably did it more easily last week than we do on stage, just out of necessity, I suppose. But there's just that bridging that little gap of everything to what you just need to do right now without even thinking about it, almost intuitively. That gap, there's nothing. Certainly about it in dancing. All of the stuff I read about improvisation is mostly jazz musicians and comedy, improv, stand-up comedy. That's where the studies have been done, the MRIs and all that kind of stuff about what's going on when you're actually in the improv moment. We needed to all be hooked up last week as our power was going out. And because we obviously didn't have it as bad as some. There were some really, really extreme circumstances going on out there. And I'd be interested to hear how creative some people got. Guyland, did you have some stories about creativity and how creative some people got? And see, that's the thing. It's like doing things they've never done before, but somehow it's occurring to them to do it just based on a body of knowledge that they have.
One of the ones that I know that people were doing is they couldn't force their toilets. So they were going outside to get scoop snow up. But then when the snow melted, they didn't realize it was 1/3 of what they would normally have. But I think that was one of the big ones was was the using that, and then some people were terracotta pots. I think the improv for a lot of people, instead of looking at it from like what was the improv, how did the improv? I think it was the improv with their families. Like their cell phones were dead, so they had to sit there and they had to talk. They had to light a fire and keep the fire going. And I think the improv was getting back to the core of who they were.
That's funny. Improv was not having your devices, not having technology.
There you go. Exactly.
I played card games of war with my son, so we had a fun time with that. He didn't have to be on the Xbox.
Huh.
We started just playing war or playing a board game, getting back to what it used to be.
Well, that's just a whole story right there, isn't it?
Yes.
When technology just vanishes, what do you have left?
Well, wouldn't you say that improv is kind of like getting back to your imagination also?
Yes.
I think that's, imagining.
I'm reconciling imagination and improvisation in my head right now. Do you see that? Do you see these wheels turning?
I thought it was a good point, and you're like just looking at me like, no, because I think you have to imagine certain things when you're improving. That's just me.
Well, to me, imagining takes time, and improvisation to me implies no time, immediacy. So that's where I got wrapped up. That was where my canoe got stuck on a log in my head. I went blank. That's why the word that got closer to improvisation for me was intuition. Just that.
It had to be intuitive.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, we're on a rabbit trail. Sorry, we do that here.
No worries.
So next time, the polar vortex. Wasn't that what it was? That's what
they're always
I don't know.
Something
I
like
don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to knock on wood after you just said that.
Well, it'll be interesting. I don't want to talk about government and ERCOT, whatever that Electricity Reliability Council of Texas. I didn't even know it existed. What's funnier is that my husband, who was in the state legislature, didn't know it existed. He's like, what, who is it? What is this group of people? But apparently they were at the helm of all the decisions that were being made about outages and stuff. Fascinating, though. That was another opportunity to learn something about our leadership and the way things run. Who knew? Yeah. I don't know. There'll be some interesting discussions coming out of all of this. I saw on Facebook, Kerry Clack. You guys know Kerry Clack? He's a
I feel like I've
columnist
heard the name
for the Express News.
Okay, that's why. Yeah.
But I went to high school with him, so yeah. So yeah.
You knew him when?
I knew him when. I did. But I saw that he was asking for people to just chime in and say what their outages were like if there was a pattern to them, whether it was electricity or water or whatever. He's trying to see if there were some trends and there wasn't. It was just all over the place. And that's what he said. He wrote a column. I don't know when it came out because I have no concept of time right now, but he actually wrote a column about it. It's really great. You need to check it out. Kerry Clack, San Antonio Express News. And he was saying that there were people in very affluent areas who were dead in the water. They didn't have water. They didn't have power. They had nothing in their $2 million home. And other people who were living in very humble circumstances that had very minimal outages. So no rhyme or reason to it. But his point was, what happens on the other side of this? People aren't going to take their eyes off of this anytime soon. Even though I was a little uncomfortable, but it wasn't miserable. I was mostly scared because I couldn't tell which way it was going. But it was enough for me it's enough for me to stay focused on it for a while. And living in a political household, I know that as a household, we're going to stay focused on it. Like, what are we doing to make sure this doesn't happen again? And what do you recommend we do to be more prepared if that's what needs to happen? Because I don't know. I just feel like it's just like Project Band. when you have an experience and you have the luxury of the time afterwards to review it, you need to make those tweaks, right? You need to make those changes. And there's something for us to learn here. Just not exactly sure of what it is. But we will probably have exercises in Project Band coming up based on our snow days. I don't know what, but we gotta come up with something. We gotta make some good come out of this for Project Band's sake. Yeah. What, Guylan? You were leaning into your microphone.
No, I was just wondering, Could we look at this? Will be fun. Can we look at recorded music as a government, and we expect it to be the same over and over and over again, and do the same things over and over again? And then improv and live music is much more like the people and everybody coming together, and they're going to make a mistake here, they're going to make a mistake here, there. So improvisationally, you have to be prepared for whatever happens. And so preparedness means you need 5 gallons of water, or 10 gallons of water, right, in the water jugs, and you need 6 cans of red of beans and 8 cans of ravioli, and something that may cost you $20 to $50, but you know it's there, and you know you have potable water, you know you have things. And my sister was talking to me about it. She says, at some point we have to take responsibility for ourselves and be prepared.
Okay. And I said this early on, and we'll wrap this up in just a second. But to the whole winterizing all of our energy sources and all of that kind of thing, I was, and we actually got in a little argument over it in our household, because I said, if somebody came to me and said, okay, look, Karen, 2 weeks ago, they came to me and said, we can winterize your house for, I don't know, 30 grand, some amount of money that seems like a lot of money to me, 30 grand. And we can make sure that if you experience a week of freezing temperatures and it never gets above freezing, and it dips into single digits, and snow is 3 inches deep, and whatever, we can take care of that. I would have said, why would I pay that? Why would I pay that? This has never happened, I would have said. And that's a lot of money, I would have said. So as much as I wouldn't want to point fingers and say, who the hell should have kept this from happening? A part of me, I mean, this has never happened. A part of me goes there. So go ahead. Chime in. But that's what I'm saying, Guylan. Like, if I live in a little house, then I have to have 18 gallons of water and blah, blah, and all that kind of stuff. It's never happened to me. It's just odd. And am I the only native San Antonian Texan in here? I think I am.
Well, I'm
No,
native
no.
Houston.
Native Houston, too.
That didn't count. Houston,
We had a
always
bad
rains.
freeze in
It always rains.
1989.
it always rains in Houston. You people have
No.
hurricanes.
We
and
actually
shit.
had a bad freeze in 1989.
Yeah, we have hurricanes. So, no, I don't think that.
No, I said freeze, not hurricane.
Freeze, yeah, but hurricane also. We're no more for it. But there's only so much you can prepare for, too.
Yeah.
Well, you're the one that was just saying, you can't play both sides of this argument.
No, you can't.
You were,
I'm single. I can.
maybe this is why you are. Stick with something.
Okay. Well, speaking of planning, and said earlier when you said, Margaret, why didn't you tell us this about Thursday and going to the grocery store? So just to let you know, if anybody has outside sprinkler systems, the weather's going to warm up. Have them check, because up north, they winterize the sprinkler systems. Down here, they don't understand that concept. So you might have some pipes bust when you turn that on and not even know it. So that's something I'm going to share right now to be prepared for in case that happens. So
Okay. Thank you.
check your sprinkler pipes, because they don't.
Thank you.
My
Okay.
plumber said they don't winterize down here.
I'm
that
sure they
concept
don't.
is foreign.
Exactly.
It is foreign.
You wouldn't even think you need to. I mean, that was all I was saying. You know, you can't prepare for.
You can't fuss either. Then you can't after it's done. If you're not going to prepare, or you don't think you can prepare, then you can't fuss either.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I know. It's finding the balance of how to ease it if it happens again, but not, have to move out of your house because it's full of food. There's no space for anything else. So yeah, it's just finding that balance. Okay. Anyway, we've beaten this to the ground. It's 73 degrees outside. We are on the other side of this, I think. Can't help but think that constantly focusing on improvisation helps us in these kind of things. Am I crazy? I probably am. But I don't know, just remaining flexible. I don't know. Yeah. Final thoughts? Snowvid. That's what they're calling it.
Yeah.
Snowvid.
Snowvid.
Texas Snowvid.
Yeah, I don't know. Things are constantly changing. You were quoting some things earlier, Karen. You've probably read the book Who Moved My Cheese. The world is in constant change. Our body's in constant change. Everything, our environments are in constant change. We as individuals are in constant change. And whether or not our future is going to involve more freezes, well, it's knowledge we have, and it's a decision point from which we can contemplate. But the point of improvisation, I think, does help to build skill sets to be able to be a little more agile when the cheese has been moved. Because I guess the one thing we do know is the cheese is never going to stay in the same place, whether it's your physical aging or whatever else is going on out there.
And with these constant changes, like you said, we have to be flexible with everything that does change. And it goes along with improvisation. You have to be flexible with what is going to happen, what movement is going to be around. And you have to be responsible for it too.
Yeah. Life is improv, man.
Yeah, we
Whether
make
your cheese
decisions
is-
every day. You make a decision based on the information at the time. You can't make the right decision for things you don't know all the time. You just do your best.
Right. Whether your cheese is moved or they freeze your cheese. All right. So, hey, this is Karen Barbie and Margret and Lisa. Thanks for joining me. Baby Boomer Belly Dancer. We are safe and warm again in Texas, and we'll be back with the next episode next week. Thanks.